You know that silence, don't you? The one that feels louder than anything he ever said. The one that sits in your chest like a weight, like a question that never gets answered. You check your phone even though you know there's nothing there. You replay the last conversation, the last text, the last moment before everything went quiet. And somewhere deep inside, beneath all the confusion and the ache, you feel something else. Something you can't quite name. It's not just absence. It's presence. A presence that doesn't need words, doesn't need contact, doesn't need proof. You feel him. Even when he's silent, even when he's gone, even when every logical part of you says you shouldn't. Your heart knows something your mind keeps trying to deny. And that knowing, that feeling, that energetic thread that still connects you, it's not your imagination. It's not wishful thinking. It's real, it's happening, and it's doing something you can't see yet, something sacred, something that's unfolding in the space between you, in the silence that feels like it's breaking you open. You've been here before, haven't you? In this place where his absence feels like a presence, where the quiet speaks louder than words ever could, where you're being asked to trust something you can't touch, can't prove, can't control. This is no contact, and it's not what you think it is. If you felt this, if you're in this space right now where the silence is deafening but somehow still full of him, I want you to drop a comment below and simply type, "I trust the sacred silence." Claim this energy. Let the universe know you're ready to understand what's really happening beneath the surface. And if these messages speak to your soul, if you feel seen here, subscribe so you never miss the transmissions that are meant specifically for your journey. There's this moment in the twin flame journey that almost everyone experiences, but nobody prepares you for. The moment when all contact stops, when the texts go unanswered, when the calls don't come, when the person who lit up your entire world suddenly goes dark. And you're left standing there, holding this connection that feels so real, so alive, so undeniable, wondering how someone can just disappear when the bond between you feels stronger than anything you've ever known. You might have initiated the no contact yourself. Maybe you finally reached a breaking point where you knew you had to step back, had to stop chasing, had to choose yourself even though every part of you wanted to reach out one more time. Or maybe he's the one who pulled away. Maybe he's the one who went silent, who created the distance, who left you standing in this space of not knowing. Either way, you're here now, in the silence, in the space between what was and what might be. And it feels unbearable sometimes, doesn't it? Like you're being torn apart, like a part of you is missing, like you can't breathe fully because half of your soul is somewhere else, with someone else, in a space you can't reach. But here's what I need you to understand. This silence, this no contact, this space that feels like it's killing you, it's not empty. It's not nothing. It's not just absence. Something is happening, something profound, something that could only happen in this exact space, in this exact way. Because no contact in a twin flame connection is not the same as no contact in a regular relationship. It's not just a break. It's not just time apart. It's not just two people going their separate ways to heal and maybe come back together later. No, this is different. This is energetic. This is alchemical. This is a sacred process that's working on levels you can't see, in dimensions you can't touch, in ways that your logical mind will never fully understand. And the reason it feels so intense, the reason it hurts so much, the reason you can still feel him even when he's not there, is because the connection hasn't gone anywhere. The bond hasn't broken. The energy between you is still alive, still active, still doing its work. Have you noticed how you can feel his energy even when you haven't spoken in weeks, months, maybe longer? How you know when he's thinking about you? How you wake up in the middle of the night and somehow you just know he's awake too, feeling the same pull, fighting the same battle. How certain songs come on at the exact moment you're thinking about him. How you see his name everywhere, see numbers that remind you of him, have dreams that feel more real than waking life. This is not coincidence. This is not your mind playing tricks on you. This is the energetic reality of twin flame no contact. You are still connected. The thread between you is still intact. And that thread, that energetic cord, it's doing something powerful in this silence. It's communicating in ways that words never could. It's transmitting frequencies that physical contact would actually interfere with. It's allowing a kind of soul-to-soul work that can only happen when the physical and mental distractions are removed. Let me tell you what's really happening energetically when twin flames go into no contact. Because once you understand this, once you really see what's unfolding beneath the surface, the silence starts to feel different. It starts to feel less like abandonment and more like initiation. Less like ending and more like beginning. When you and your twin flame enter no contact, whether by choice or by circumstance, you're being pulled into what I call the sacred crucible. It's a space of intense transformation. A space where everything that's not aligned with your highest truth gets burned away. A space where you're forced to face yourself without the distraction of him, without the comfort of his presence, without the ability to lose yourself in the connection. And this is exactly what needs to happen. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to hear, but everyone needs to understand. Twin flame union cannot happen when you're still looking outside yourself for completion. It cannot happen when you're still in the energy of need, of lack, of waiting for him to make you whole. It cannot happen when your sense of self is wrapped up in whether he texts you back, whether he chooses you, whether he's ready. The divine feminine, and that's the energy that most of you watching this are carrying. She has to go through a death and rebirth in the silence. She has to let go of the version of herself that was chasing, that was proving, that was trying to convince him of what she already knew. She has to release the pattern of abandoning herself to hold space for him. She has to remember that she is not half of a whole. She is not incomplete without him. She is not less than because he walked away. You are the temple, beloved, not just the doorway, not just the space he gets to enter when he's ready. You are the entire sacred structure, and no contact is asking you to remember that. It's asking you to stop waiting at the door for him to validate what you already know. It's asking you to walk deeper into your own temple, into your own power, into your own divine frequency, and claim yourself fully. Not as preparation for him, not as a strategy to get him back, but as a return to your own truth. And here's what happens energetically when you do that. When you stop reaching out, when you stop checking if he's viewed your stories, When you stop crafting the perfect text that might make him respond. When you stop sending energy toward him and start sending it toward yourself. Everything shifts. The entire energetic dynamic between you transforms, because twin flames operate on a push-pull frequency. When you're chasing, he's running. When you're reaching, he's retreating. Not because he doesn't love you, not because the connection isn't real, but because the masculine energy, whether he's conscious of it or not, is terrified of being consumed. He's terrified of losing himself in the intensity of what you share. He's terrified of the vulnerability, the surrender, the complete dissolution of his walls that loving you requires. So when you chase, when you push, when you try to force the connection into form before he's ready, his nervous system goes into fight or flight. And he runs, not away from you, away from himself, away from the parts of himself he's not ready to face yet. But when you stop, when you pull your energy back, when you go silent, something in him wakes up. The absence of your pursuit creates a space where he can finally feel what's really there. A space where the connection can speak to him without the noise of your need. A space where his own soul can start asking him the questions he's been avoiding. Where is she? Why does this feel so empty without her? What did I walk away from? This is the gift of no contact from the divine feminine side. Your silence becomes the invitation, not the desperate silence of withholding, of playing games, of trying to manipulate him into missing you, but the sovereign silence of a woman who has remembered her worth. The silence of a woman who is no longer available for half-love, for breadcrumbs, for inconsistency. The silence of a woman who has turned her attention back to her own life, her own healing, her own sacred work, and is no longer waiting for him to decide if she's enough. Do you feel that shift? Can you sense how different that energy is? It's not cold. It's not punishing. It's not withholding love. It's the opposite. It's so full of love, so full of truth, so full of divine feminine power that it literally changes the frequency of the entire connection. And he feels it, even if he doesn't reach out, even if he doesn't text, even if months go by and you don't hear from him, he feels it, because you are connected energetically. What you do in your inner world affects his inner world. When you choose yourself, when you step into your power, when you stop abandoning yourself for him, the energetic signal you send out shifts. And that shift, that frequency change, it lands in his field whether he's conscious of it or not. Now let's talk about what's happening for him during no contact, because this is where it gets really interesting. The divine masculine, especially in the early and middle stages of the twin flame journey, is often completely unconscious of what's really happening. He knows something is different about you. He knows the connection is intense. He knows he's never felt anything like this before, but he doesn't have the framework to understand it. He doesn't have the spiritual language. He doesn't have the emotional capacity yet to hold the depth of what this connection is asking of him. So he does what the wounded masculine does. He runs. He shuts down. He goes silent. He convinces himself that the connection isn't that deep, that he can walk away, that he needs space, that he's not ready, that the timing isn't right. And on the surface, it looks like he's moved on. It looks like he's fine. It looks like he doesn't care. But energetically, Energetically, he's in chaos because you can't walk away from your twin flame and feel nothing. You can't sever a soul connection just because you've stopped texting. The bond is still there. The frequency is still transmitting. And every single day that he's in no contact with you, his soul is working on him. It's showing him what he's running from. It's bringing up every wound, every fear, every pattern that's keeping him from love. It's dismantling his walls brick by brick, and it's exhausting, it's painful, it's terrifying for him, because the masculine is conditioned to be in control. He's conditioned to have answers, to know what he's doing, to be strong and certain and unshakable. But this connection, this twin flame bond, it strips all of that away. It shows him that he's not in control. It shows him that he doesn't have the answers. It shows him that his strength, the way he's always defined it, is actually his greatest weakness. Deep inside, he knows. He knows you're different. He knows what you shared was real. He knows he's running from the best thing that ever happened to him. But knowing and being ready are two different things. And this is what no contact does for him. It gives him the space to break, to fall apart, to face the parts of himself he's been avoiding his entire life. The little boy who learned that vulnerability is weakness. The teenager who got his heart broken and decided never again. The man who built walls so high he forgot there was a heart underneath them. No contact forces him into his own underworld, and he has to go there alone. You can't do this work for him. You can't love him into readiness. You can't heal his wounds by staying in contact and proving your love over and over. He has to face himself, and the silence, as brutal as it is the container for that facing. Have you noticed that the twin flame journey has a way of bringing up every single unhealed part of you? Every abandonment wound. Every moment you didn't feel chosen. Every time you made yourself small to keep someone's love. Every pattern of self-betrayal, of settling, of waiting for external validation. No contact amplifies all of it. It's like the universe takes everything you've been avoiding and puts it right in front of you and says, now. Heal this now. And it's the same for him. His no contact experience is bringing up every wound he's been carrying. Every time he was told to man up, to stop feeling, to be strong. Every moment he learned that love equals loss of self. Every relationship where he felt trapped, consumed, obligated. Every fear of not being enough, of failing, of being vulnerable and getting destroyed. All of it is coming up, and it has to, because twin flame union is not possible with all of that baggage. Union requires two whole people, two healed people, two sovereign beings who are choosing each other from fullness, not from need. So the silence, the no contact, it's not a punishment. It's not a sign that the connection is over. It's not proof that he doesn't love you. It's the sacred space where both of you are being prepared, where both of you are being refined, where both of you are being asked to become the version of yourself that can actually hold the frequency of union. And here's the part that might be hard to hear, but is absolutely essential to understand. You cannot skip this part. You cannot rush this process. You cannot force readiness, not in him and not in yourself. The universe has its own timeline. Your souls have a contract that's unfolding in divine timing. And no amount of reaching out, of trying to maintain contact, of keeping the connection alive through texts and calls and social media, is going to speed up what needs to happen internally for both of you. This is why no contact, as painful as it is often the greatest gift the twin flame journey offers, because it forces you to do the one thing you've been avoiding. It forces you to come home to yourself. It forces you to stop looking outside for the love, the validation, the wholeness that can only come from within. It forces you to ask the questions you've been too afraid to ask. Who am I without him? What do I actually want? What have I been tolerating that doesn't align with my truth? Where have I abandoned myself? Where have I made myself small? Where have I been waiting instead of living? And as you start to answer those questions, as you start to do the work, as you start to choose yourself day after day after day, something miraculous happens. You start to feel whole, not because he came back, not because he texted, not because the connection moved forward, but because you remembered that you were always whole. You just forgot for a while. And this, beloved, this is when everything changes. This is when the energy shifts so dramatically that the entire trajectory of your journey transforms. Because the moment you stop needing him, the moment you stop waiting for him, the moment you start living your life as a woman who knows her worth and won't settle for anything less than full-hearted presence, you become magnetic in a completely different way. You're no longer the chaser. You're no longer the one trying to convince him. You're the woman who walked away. The woman who chose herself. The woman who is so full, so aligned, so at peace that union is no longer something she needs. It's something she's open to if it aligns. And that frequency, that energy, it's irresistible to the masculine. Not because it's a game, not because you're playing hard to get, but because it's the truth. It's the frequency of the divine feminine in her power. And the divine masculine can only meet you there. Let's go deeper into what's happening in the energetic field during no contact, because this is where the real magic is. When you're in physical contact with your twin flame, when you're texting, calling, seeing each other, there's a lot of mental and emotional interference. There are expectations, projections, fears, needs, all of it clouding the pure soul-to-soul transmission. But when you go into no contact, when the physical and mental layers are removed, the energetic connection becomes clearer, stronger, more direct. You start communicating soul to soul without the interference of the ego. This is why you have those moments where you feel him so strongly, even though you haven't spoken. This is why you know when he's thinking about you. This is why you have dreams that feel like actual meetings. Because they are. You're connecting in the energetic realm. You're doing the work together on a soul level, even though your human selves are apart. And here's what's being worked on during this time. Every karmic pattern between you is being cleared. Every past life wound is being healed. Every energetic cord that's based in need, in fear, in codependency, is being dissolved so that the only cord that remains is the one rooted in pure divine love. This is deep, deep work, and it cannot happen when you're still in contact, because contact keeps you in the old patterns. It keeps you in the dynamic of chaser and runner, of need and withdrawal, of fear and defense. No contact breaks the pattern. It stops the cycle. It creates a pause where the universe can come in and do the clearing that needs to happen. And you have to trust this process. You have to trust that the silence is not empty. You have to trust that something is being built in the invisible realms, even when you can't see any evidence of it in the physical. I know it's hard. I know there are days when you want to reach out so badly it feels like you might break. I know there are nights when you lie awake wondering if he's thinking about you, if he misses you, if he's ever coming back. I know the silence can feel like slow death sometimes, but I need you to reframe what's happening. You are not in no contact because the connection is over. You are in no contact because the connection is so powerful that it requires both of you to be at a certain frequency before you can come together in a healthy, sustainable way. You are in no contact because your souls are being prepared for something your egos can't even imagine yet. You are in no contact because the universe loves you enough to not let you settle for a connection that's based in wounding, in need, in half versions of yourselves. And here's the sacred paradox. The moment you stop needing contact, the moment you stop waiting for him to reach out, the moment you become so full in your own life that his silence no longer defines your worth, that's when the energetic door opens. That's when the frequency aligns. That's when he starts to feel the pull in a way he can't ignore anymore. Because you're no longer available energetically for the old dynamic. You're no longer resonating at the frequency of lack, of need, of waiting. You're resonating at the frequency of wholeness. And wholeness calls to wholeness. The divine feminine in her power calls the divine masculine into his awakening. Not through chasing, not through convincing, but through embodiment. Through being so full, so aligned, so at peace that you become the living invitation for him to rise into his own truth. This is what no contact is really doing. It's separating you long enough for you to remember who you are without him. It's giving you the space to heal the wounds that would sabotage union if you came together too soon. It's allowing him to go through his own dark night of the soul so that when he emerges, he's not the same man who ran. He's the man who's faced himself, the man who's done his work, the man who's ready to show up fully. And it's teaching both of you the most important lesson of the twin flame journey. That union is not something you wait for. It's something you become. You don't wait for him to be ready so you can finally be happy. You become so happy, so whole, so aligned that you're already living in the frequency of union within yourself. And then, if it's meant to, the external union mirrors the internal one. But here's what I need you to understand. Even if he never comes back, even if the physical union never happens in this lifetime, the work you're doing during this no contact is not wasted. It's not just about him, it's about you. It's about you reclaiming the parts of yourself you lost along the way. It's about you healing the wounds that have been running your life. It's about you stepping into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. The twin flame connection is a catalyst. It's a mirror. It's a portal into your own awakening. And whether you end up together or not, the transformation that's happening in you during this silence is the whole point. You are being reborn. You are being initiated. You are being called into a version of yourself that is so powerful, so aligned, so full of divine love that your entire life will never be the same. So what do you do during no contact? How do you navigate this space without losing your mind? First, You stop checking. You stop looking at his social media. You stop analyzing his every move. You stop asking your friends if they've heard anything. You stop sending energy toward him through your thoughts, your hopes, your fears. You pull all of that energy back, every bit of it, and you redirect it toward yourself. You start asking different questions. Not when is he coming back, but who am I becoming? Not does he still love me, but do I still love myself? Not what is he doing, but what do I want to create in my life? You start filling your own cup. You start doing the things that make you feel alive. You start healing the wounds that this connection has brought to the surface. You start building a life that is so full, so rich, so aligned with your truth that his presence becomes a bonus, not a necessity. And you practice holding the frequency of union within yourself. You stop waiting for him to make you feel loved, and you start loving yourself so fully that you feel complete. You stop waiting for him to choose you, and you start choosing yourself every single day. You stop waiting for him to show up, and you start showing up for yourself in every way. You become the partner you've been waiting for him to be. You become the love you've been seeking. You become the union. And this is not spiritual bypassing. This is not pretending you don't miss him. This is not denying the pain of the separation. This is alchemy. This is taking the pain, the longing, the grief, and transmuting it into power, into presence, into purpose. This is using the fire of the twin flame connection to forge yourself into gold. Have you felt the moments when you know he's close, energetically, even though he's far physically? Have you felt the surges of his energy, the downloads, the sudden knowing that he's thinking about you? This is the twin flame telepathy, and it gets stronger during no contact because there's no physical interference. You're communicating in the purest form, soul to soul. And here's what you can do with that. Instead of using it to pine for him, instead of using it to hope he's coming back, use it to send him love. Not needy love, not attached love, but pure, unconditional, divine love. Send him the energy of healing. Send him the frequency of his highest self. Send him the blessing of his own awakening. And then let it go. Don't wait for a response. Don't check if he felt it. Just send it and release it. Because this is what the divine feminine does. She holds the frequency. She sends the love, and she trusts the universe to do the rest. And here's what happens energetically when you do that. When you send love without attachment, when you bless him without needing anything in return, you clear the cords of codependency. You clear the energetic hooks. You clear the patterns of need and control. And what remains is the pure twin flame bond, the one that's rooted in unconditional love, the one that doesn't need contact to exist, the one that's eternal, unbreakable, beyond the physical. And that bond, that pure connection, it's what will eventually bring you back together if that's part of your soul contract. Not the chasing, not the waiting, not the needing, the pure love, the healed love, the sovereign love. Let me tell you what the final stages before union look like energetically. Because if you're in no contact and you're doing the work, you're likely in one of these stages. First, there's the stage of surrender. This is where you finally let go, not because you don't care, but because you care so much that you're willing to release him to his own journey. You're willing to trust that if it's meant to be, it will be, and if it's not, you'll be okay. This surrender is not defeat. It's liberation. It's the moment you stop fighting the river and start flowing with it. And energetically, this surrender sends a massive signal through the connection. It tells his soul that you're no longer holding on. You're no longer trying to force the outcome. You're free, and that freedom is magnetic. Then there's the stage of embodiment. This is where you stop waiting for union and you start being union. You integrate your own masculine and feminine. You become whole within yourself. You stop looking outside for completion, and you start living as the fullest expression of your divine self. You're happy, you're at peace, you're creating, you're thriving, and his absence is no longer a wound. It's just a fact that doesn't define your worth, your joy, or your life. This is the frequency that calls in union, because you're no longer in lack, you're in fullness. And the masculine can only meet the feminine when she's full. When she's empty, when she's waiting, when she's needing, he runs. But when she's full, when she's overflowing, when she's so abundant that she has love to give without needing anything back, he's drawn like a moth to flame. And then there's the final stage, the stage of alignment. This is where everything clicks into place, where the timing is finally right, where both of you have done enough of the work that you can come together without repeating the old patterns, where the universe orchestrates the reunion in a way that's so perfect, so divinely timed, that you know it's real. You know it's not just another cycle of the push-pull. You know that something fundamental has shifted. And this stage, this alignment, it can only happen after the no contact has done its work. After the silence has cleared the field. After both of you have been broken open and put back together in a new way. But here's the thing. You can't force your way to this stage. You can't manipulate the timing. You can't skip the healing and hope for the best. You have to trust the process. You have to trust that every day of no contact is a day of preparation. Every moment of silence is a moment of clearing. Every wave of grief is washing away another layer of what's not meant to come with you into union. And you have to keep choosing yourself. Keep doing your work. Keep building your life. Keep becoming the woman who is so full, so aligned, so at peace that union is not something she needs. It's something she's ready for. There's a difference. So, beloved, let this be your reminder, your anchor, your sacred truth in the moments when the silence feels deafening and the absence feels unbearable. The silence is not empty. I need you to really hear this, to let it sink into the deepest parts of your soul. The silence is not a void. It's not a punishment. It's not him forgetting you or the universe abandoning you. The silence is actually full, overflowing with purpose and intention. It's full of divine intelligence working behind the scenes in ways your human perception cannot yet grasp. The no contact is not punishment, though I know it feels that way when you wake up at 3 in the morning reaching for your phone, hoping to see his name. It's not rejection. It's not him choosing to hurt you. It's not evidence that the connection wasn't real or that you imagined everything. The no contact is actually sacred protection. It's the universe creating a container, a chrysalis, a womb space for both of you to undergo the most profound transformation of your lives. The space between you is not void. It's not nothingness. It's not the end of your story. That space, that gap that feels like it's tearing you apart, is actually full. full of transformation that's happening on levels you cannot see with physical eyes, full of healing, deep cellular healing, ancestral healing, karmic healing that needs to happen before you can come together in a way that's sustainable and healthy, full of divine orchestration, with thousands of puzzle pieces being moved into place, with divine timing that's so precise, so perfect, so intelligent that it would take your breath away if you could see the master plan, full of the universe preparing both of you for something your human minds can't comprehend yet. Something so big, so transformative, so aligned with your highest purpose that you need this time apart to expand your capacity to hold it. And your job, your sacred assignment during this time, is not what you think it is. Your job is not to figure out when he's coming back. I know you've been counting days, looking at numerology, asking psychics, analyzing every possible timeline, but that's not your work right now. Your job is not to decode every sign and synchronicity, though I know you've been seeing them everywhere, the repeating numbers, the songs, the dreams, the strange coincidences that feel like messages. Yes, they're real. Yes, they're valid, but obsessing over them, trying to extract meaning from every single one, trying to build a timeline from breadcrumbs, that's not your purpose. Your job is not to wait in suspended animation until he's ready, putting your life on hold, keeping yourself small, staying stuck in this limbo space where you're not fully here because part of you is always there, with him, wondering about him, waiting for him. That's not living. That's not what this journey is asking of you. Your job is to live, to actually, fully, presently live your life right now, in this moment, not in some future moment when he returns. To heal, to do the deep inner work, to face the wounds, the patterns, the fears, the traumas that this connection has illuminated. To grow, to expand beyond who you were when you met him, to let this experience stretch you and challenge you and break you open into a bigger version of yourself. To step into the fullest expression of who you came here to be, not who you think you need to be for him, but who your soul is calling you to become. To choose yourself so fully, so completely, so consistently that you become the embodiment of the love you've been seeking. Not just once, not just on the good days, but every single day, in every single choice, in every single moment. To choose yourself with such devotion, such commitment, such unwavering dedication that you become a walking, breathing, living example of the unconditional love you've been craving from him. Because that's when everything changes. That's the turning point. That's the shift that alters your entire reality. That's when the frequency shifts, when your vibration transforms from lack and longing and desperation into wholeness and fulfillment and magnetic presence. That's when union stops being something you're chasing, something outside of you, something dependent on his choices and his timing and his readiness, and starts being something you're living, something you're embodying, something that exists within you regardless of what he's doing or not doing. And here's the final truth, the ultimate truth, the truth that will set you free if you let it. The most important truth in this entire journey. Union begins with you, not with him, not with his text message that you've been waiting for, not with his return, his apology, his declaration of love, not with his readiness, his healing, his awakening, with you. It all begins and ends with you. The moment you stop waiting and start becoming, that's when everything shifts. the moment you stop seeking outside, looking for validation and confirmation and proof in the external world, and start finding inside, discovering that everything you've been seeking has always been within you. The moment you stop needing him to validate the connection, to prove it was real, to confirm that you didn't make it all up, and start trusting your own knowing, your own inner wisdom, your own direct experience of what you felt and what you know to be true. That's when union begins. That's the moment the entire game changes, because union is not a destination. It's not a place you arrive at after enough suffering and waiting and healing. It's not a finish line that you cross when you've finally done enough work, or become enough or healed. Enough, it's not something that happens when he finally comes back and you ride off into the sunset together and live happily ever after in some fairy tale ending. Union is a frequency, an energetic state that you can access at any moment, a state of being, a way of existing in the world where you feel complete and whole and connected to Source regardless of external circumstances. A way of living, a daily practice of choosing love over fear, presence over absence, wholeness over lack. And you can access it right now. Not tomorrow, not when he comes back, not when the circumstances change. Right now, in the silence that feels unbearable, in the no contact that feels like torture, in the space that feels like death, like everything is ending, like you're losing him forever, but is actually rebirth, is actually you being born into a new version of yourself, is actually the old you dying so the true you can emerge. You are not just waiting for him. You were never just waiting for him, though it may have felt that way through all the sleepless nights and tear-stained pillows and moments of desperate longing. You were always waiting for yourself, for the version of you that could only be born through this fire, through this separation, through this dark night of the soul. And now, in this sacred silence, in this holy pause, in this divine intermission, you finally have the space to remember who that self is. You have the opportunity to meet yourself, perhaps for the first time, without distraction, without his energy in your field, without the intensity of the connection pulling your focus outside of yourself. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your becoming. Tell me, beautiful soul, have you felt this shift? Have you felt the moment when the no contact stopped feeling like abandonment and started feeling like initiation? When the silence stopped being torture and started being teacher? Drop a comment below and share where you are in this journey. Are you in the surrender, the embodiment, the alignment? Or are you still in the pain, still in the waiting, still in the wondering? Wherever you are, you're exactly where you need to be. And your willingness to be here, to feel this, to do this work, it's not just changing you. It's changing the entire energetic field between you. It's shifting the trajectory of your connection. It's preparing you for a love that's bigger, deeper, and more true than anything you've experienced before. Because that's what twin flame no contact really is. It's not the end. It's the beginning of you, the beginning of union, the beginning of everything you've been waiting for. And it starts now. In the silence, in the space, in the sacred no contact that's not really no contact at all, because you're still connected. You've always been connected, and you always will be. The question is, are you ready to meet yourself in that connection? Are you ready to become the union you've been seeking, Because, beloved, the moment you are, everything changes. Everything.